Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hello and welcome to episode 172 for Slamfire Radio for September 15th, 2016. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly, the other Appleseed Princess.
There can be only one.
I know.
Only one. And I'm one of your hosts, Adriel, the hunting gear guy, Michaud.
And I am the Ferlate.
The Perlatte.
Matthew is on assignment.
Yes, he is. Have fun.
Enjoy the assignment, Matthew.
Yes.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing. We are here working and thinking about you doing something funner than this. I'm just kidding. What could be funner than this?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Shooting
We
three gun.
get to hang out.
Shooting three gun. I like it.
Hey.
Right. Since we can't shoot three gun, we'll have to talk about it.
Yes. Speaking of shooting guns, Trevor,
Yes.
tell us all about your weekend.
My weekend was cool. It started actually on Wednesday and Thursday. I shot the pre-match of the 2016 IPSC New Brunswick Provincial Championships. The reason why I shot the pre-match is because I was going to work as the CRO for the chronograph stage during the match. So I went down on, there were 16 stages. I went down on Wednesday and I shot with the crew from the Miramichi and shot 10 out of the 16. I went back on Thursday and shot by myself with Jamie Knowles as my RO and shot the last 6 stages. Then got back on Friday to set up the chronograph stage and work the chronograph on Saturday and Sunday until I withdrew the chronograph from the match because it wouldn't calibrate. But that's not really exciting stuff. The match went well. I won the 2016 Standard Championship. What else did I do? I worked on the Trojan, the classic gun. Mm-hmm. I have put in a fresh set of springs. I went with a 15-pound main spring and a 9-pound recoil spring. I put on a Dawson Precision fiber optic front sight. Now, that's one thing about this Trojan I don't get. I don't know if they're backing down on the Trojan and not making it as nice as it used to be, because Trojans traditionally have come with a fiber optic front sight. This one had a black steel front sight and a black rear sight, so it was black on black, which is not going to work for me. So I knocked out the factory black sight and put in fitted a Dawson Precision sight. I hate fitting front sights because I'm impatient and I don't quite have the right tools, so I've got brass all over the dovetail where the sight goes. I didn't mar up the slide or anything, but it still could be better if I had the proper punches, which I should probably get. I also installed an SVI Light Touch sear spring. I installed the Dawson Precision extended mag catch and an STI extended button. My 5 Dawson Precision single stack 10 round 9mm mags came in. So the gun is now ready to go. The only thing I could do other than a full replacement of the trigger group, which I'm not going to do, the trigger's fine, is a set of ambidextrous safeties. And I think I will probably order them tomorrow. And then I set up my a classic belt. I borrowed some single stack mag pouches from Chris Kingston and threw them on my, what belt was that? That was my FN belt. So I got a Blade Tech holster from Lorette for a 1911 and some single stack mag pouches from Kingston, and I threw that together. The mag pouch has got to go back, but the holster's mine. And there's a match in Woodstock, Owen's Gun Club, but I don't think Owen's shooting much these days, so I don't think we'll see him. But Matthew and I are going to go there on Sunday and shoot an IPSC match. So with that in mind, I did some dry fire tonight once I had the new belt set up. And then right before the show, I was reloading some 9mm with my powder-coated cast bullets. Oh, I should mention.
I was going to ask about those. Go ahead.
X Metal Targets is my sponsor, and signed up with them for this coming year. And my X Metal Target bullets arrived, so I spent just enough time with the bullets to develop a load that makes power factor, sight in the gun, and then off to provincials I went. So that's not a lot of testing.
No, and those are the ones you won with.
That's
awesome bullets, right?
Yep. So they're very accurate out of my gun, and I recommend anybody try them. They're polymer coated, not powder coated. They smell a little funny when you shoot them, but you get used to it, and you don't, like, after the first magazine or two, you don't smell it anymore. And
what's the smell like?
I don't know. It's funny. It's almost like burnt plastic, I guess, because they're kind of polymer coated. So, but the barrel stays nice and clean, and they worked absolutely great. So I took them to my very first. I mean, this is not ideal, right? You don't develop a new load and then go to your provincial championships. But I was literally out of bullets. So if X Metal Targets hadn't sent me my sponsorship bullets, I wouldn't have had. I was actually borrowing ammo from Snuffleupagus to shoot the provincials with, which was something. It was a Cam Pro bullet, and I was familiar with it. I was going to chronograph it, and I knew it would make power factor in my gun because it made power factor in a Glock. So they both use polygonal rifling. But yeah, thanks for reminding me. My X Metal Target bullets came in, loaded them up, and won the provincials with them. So I'm very impressed with them for the first time out. I won a championship, kind of.
So X Metal Target, they're very happy with you then.
Apparently. So
everybody's going to go out and buy them now.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They didn't give me a sponsorship because I'm the best shooter or anything like that. It's because of my promotion of the shooting sports and my promotion of IPSC and my involvement with SummerSlam and all that. And so, I teach a lot of black badges and stuff like that. So, when you have a lot of contact with shooters, those are the kind of people that you want to sponsor, I guess.
Well, they wanted your face for their promotional ads.
Well, I have a face for radio, so not a good idea. But anyway, that's, So I was loading some 9mm tonight, and I don't have any X Metal 9mm, so I was using some of my leftover, my own 125 grain powder coated bullets. Cool. Yeah, so that's it for me. What about you, Adriel?
I'm just throwing my barrel back onto my Stoker here. So, unfortunately, my barrel was too thin in the middle to put chokes on. So, I'm going to have to run it this weekend because I've got a 3-gun match on Saturday. So, I'd rather run the Stoker than the Pardus. Now, that Pardus I've been working on. I have a +1 extension on it. And I improved on that Chinese nickel that I had screwed into the side to use as a bolt release. I improved on it with a aluminum angle thing that I cut so it's not an angle, and I put some skateboard tape on it. And it is sweet. It's so good. And so cheap. So I put that on there. Actually, I used that gun to go shoot a bunch of ducks, too. So instead of using 3.5, I used 3-inch. I shot the Stoker. And me and a couple of buddies of mine shot a whole pile of ducks over the weekend. So that was a lot of fun. I picked up some new waders, so I got to use those out there, and that's. I don't know if you guys ever went duck hunting and pulled ducks out of a swamp or a slough or something like that with waders on.
Never.
No.
It's so funny because you look at a swamp or a pond, you're like, oh, you can't go in there. It's all scummy and it's probably really deep. But if you put waders on, you could actually walk out, unless it's a farmer's dugout or something like that where it's really deep. You can walk out really, really far. And all the ducks that I ended up shooting, I just walked out and grabbed them. So it was kind of funny because it's almost like having a really almost useless superpower.
It's almost like that.
Hip waiter man.
Just I was thinking, yeah.
The ability to walk out into a swamp.
I'm wearing rubber pants and I can walk in water. What is this sorcery? God, you need to get out more, man.
It's so it's stanky though, all those you stir up all this. Anyways, yeah. So we went and shot a whole bunch of ducks. Didn't get any geese, but a whole bunch of ducks. And yeah, that Stoker barrel. You were saying that Tactical Ordnance might be able to do a thin choke though, so I might try them. I might contact them because it's just a little bit thin. It's just I need something shorter. It's 28 inches, way too much for 3-gun. I need a shorter barrel.
You could also
just needs to bring it in. Sorry.
You could also talk to Chris Babes was one of the first ones that got a 28-inch Versamax cut down, and I don't know exactly what process Casey goes through, but I know that when Casey is done cutting down a 28-inch Versamax, he doesn't use a Rem choke or the Versamax choke. It's some other brand of choke, and that's all I know. It could be because it's thin wall. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called. It's like a thin wall choke. So and those can be installed on a much thinner barrel wall than normal. But I don't know. I mean, so maybe
worth looking into.
Yeah, I'll definitely send them an email.
He's worked on all three of my shotguns one way or another. He's cut my 590A1. Of course, that's not thin, but he threaded that for Rem chokes. He cut down a 870 28-inch barrel and threaded that for Rem chokes. And he did the initial modification work to my Versamax, opening up the port and all that good stuff, welding the lifter and.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, so I'll have to get in contact with him. I bought a bunch of like non-gun related stuff. I picked up a blind from Cabela's because they had some on sale for $125. So I got like a pop-up blind. I'm going to use that for deer hunting as well. And let's see, a neoprene mask, but non-gun related stuff. Kelly, what were you up to?
Well, I just came back from Ohio, so we were down there teaching an Appleseed with Stacy and Red and everybody. But on Friday, we got to do a little bit of fun shooting before Appleseed. I shot a 50 cal.
Boom!
Awesome.
Pew pew. Big, but louder.
Pew pew. No, it was bang. It was a lot of fun. Expensive to shoot though, so I don't know if I could do it up here. I was able to shoot some other little things as well emphasis on the little, so a Glock 42 and a Glock 38. And I even shot a Keltec PMR 30. Have you guys had a chance to shoot those at all?
Nope. Seen them.
I try not to touch Keltec products.
They got some cool stuff. It's innovative. It's just like they clearly are made for a price point, but they're really innovative guns. Like I wish they put a little bit more design into like making them look good, but the operating mechanisms on it are always really wild and really interesting.
Well, this one was kind of interesting. It looked a little bit like a space gun, but it had a lot of muzzle flash in that too, so it was quite cool. And that's what I did. The other thing that we've been working on is there's a lady shoot going on this weekend in Napanee, so going and picking up prizes and all that. SFRC is donating some stuff, and been talking to some of the ladies here, trying to coordinate that, and targets and everything like that. But that's everything that I've done.
Cool.
Yeah, that's everything that I've done. Upcoming events. So we have Rick Woods. He's from Fire Art Solutions Training. He's teaching an urban pistol course in Barrie, Ontario, and it's going to be happening this Saturday. So if you're interested, go check out his website, because I think there's still stuff that's going on there. The 2016 Algonquin Cup will be taking place at Eagle Lake Gun Club in Sundridge, Ontario on September 18th. So that's this Sunday as well. A lot of the stuff is happening this weekend. Mm-hmm. We have Brian S. He sent us a Valkyrie Defense Counter Ambush Course Concepts course in Battle Creek, Michigan. It's happening on October 9th. And we also have something happening. I don't know what this is. It's a handgun course or something. I don't know. Trevor, you want to talk about that?
Sign up.
You don't need detail. Just sign up.
For Latzi Training Academy. Is offering basic handgun and critical handgun in we don't know if it's St. Paul. It may very well be St. Paul again. I'm happy to go back to St. Paul. I don't know. Adriel, did we discuss the location?
No, not yet.
No, I think it'll probably be St. Paul again. Yeah. July 15th, 16th in Alberta for sure. That much we know. So there are only 4 spots left in basic handgun. And the critical handgun day 2 is now full. So 4 spots left. Sign up. It'll be sold out by January for sure. I want to talk a little bit about caps because we received some unfortunate news from the CFO.
Uh-oh.
As the listeners who have been following the story of Caps and Dave Young, he was told by the Quebec CFO he was no longer allowed to train civilians with live ammunition on ranges approved by the Quebec CFO. So Dave insisted that I check with the New Brunswick CFO because he didn't want to get anybody in trouble, and he didn't want to, sometimes we have the attitude here that, well, it's easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Well, that's not Dave. Dave is 100% upfront before he does anything. So he was very insistent that I check with the CFO. So I did. I emailed the CFO and I sent him a link to Dave's website, and I said, I'd like to know if we could, if there are any issues having Dave teach a course at the Rescuers Gun Club. And he got back to me and said that the ranges in New Brunswick are approved for competitions and target practice, but they're not approved for, this kind of activity. So, shooting bullets is shooting bullets, but not necessarily. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and let's assume that we to have ranges in the first place, which we shouldn't. We should be able to shoot our guns in the woods or wherever it's safe and legal to discharge a gun. We shouldn't be restricted to a range, but this is Canada. And the point of view of the CFO is that this is simply not an activity that is approved on our ranges. So if it's not something that is pre-approved to use the range for, you're basically automatically not allowed to do it. That being said, well, we're not pre-approved for tannerite, but we're allowed to use tannerite in New Brunswick. We're allowed to manage ourselves in that respect. But no, his opinion was that the New Brunswick ranges, ranges in New Brunswick are not approved for training civilians in self-defense.
What about like training them for whatever else, like training them for cowboy shooting or training them for, I don't know, like you could argue
cowboy shooting is a pre-approved activity. So if you want to have a cowboy shooting clinic or an IPSC clinic or a basic handgun clinic, you're allowed to. But as soon as you say you're training civilians in self-defense, you're training civilians to use firearms in self-defense, then that's not approved anymore. So apparently our ranges must be approved for armored car guards, must be approved for RCMP. I mean, the RCMP thinks that the rules don't apply to them because they're federal when they use our ranges, but you know what? I mean, they're still using ranges approved and certified by the province, so they can't go there and do things that we're not allowed to do. Or can they? Where do the double standards stop? I'm just not sure. So, are we mildly annoyed? Yes. Will it stop us? No, because as Dave said, he is set up to teach this class with laser guns. So the class is still going ahead. So if anybody had signed up and wants to drop out because we're not using live ammunition on the range anymore, send us an email and we'll take your name off the list. That being said, we received Pierre-Luc from my club sent us an email today. He wants to sign up, and he'll send his tuition in a couple of days. So the intent of this course is not to teach you how to shoot. It's to teach you when to shoot and then put you in situations where you can use the judgment you were taught. But it's not a handgun class to teach you how to be a better marksman. So don't worry about the fact that it's lasers, because the emphasis isn't on shooting live ammunition. The emphasis is on learning when to apply the skills. So don't let the lasers dissuade you or discourage you. Come on down anyway. It's October 15th, 16th at the Rescuers Gun Club. It's actually not going to be at the Rescuers Gun Club. It'll be held at a undisclosed location. The deadline to register is October 1st, so we need your money by October 1st. Minimum of 12 students, max of 15. Currently, I guess with Pierre-Luc, we're now at 7 people that have committed. So we certainly need a few more. Contact Slamfire Radio to register, and contact Dave Young on his CAPS website to pay.
Right. And Dave Young's Canada's own.
Misada, yeah.
Exactly. So if people don't know who Dave is.
He is our Canadian resource for all things self-defense with firearms and the laws around the criminal code and self-defense. So
I was reading his biography. It's quite
extensive.
Extensive.
Yeah.
Right. He does a lot of I was going to say testification. That's not a word.
Testifies in court as an expert witness.
Testify. Yes.
Wow.
Expert witness. Yep. Testify. So, yeah.
And in case Andrew is listening, it's Ragnarok Tactical.
Excellent.
All right. I always knew it was. Just messing with you, man.
Ragnarok Tactical is presenting a carbine operator course in Guelph.
Do you even operate, bro?
God. All right, you're messing. Anyways, at Guelph Rod and Gun Club in Guelph, Ontario on October 15th, 2016. Contact Andrew Vincent at the podcast there. Which podcast is he on?
Canadian Patriot Podcast. You're awful.
I know. Anyways, give him a call or drop him a message. Sign up.
There's a link in the show notes. Cost is $176.99.
Yeah, that was last week. There was a link in the show.
Sorry, let me try that again. $176.99.
That's better.
Plus tax.
I'm gonna tell Trevor.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So let's talk about guns in the news. Who put in the one about carrying handguns skyrocket?
I got it. I got the article open here. Basically, there's a lot more people filing for ATCs. Oh, I wonder why. Somehow, for some reason, the number of applications across the country rose from 386 to 564 between 2011 and 2013. In that time period, they more than doubled in BC and they more than doubled in Alberta. So lots more people applying for it. We've got a couple of comments in here. If someone applies for an ATC and it's really deficient, they're not a prospector, they don't go have a wilderness occupation, they just want it when they go camping. We just say you don't qualify and they don't pursue their application. This is the Chief Firearms Officer from Ontario providing that quote. And the other thing that they're mentioning here is that there's a higher number in BC, Alberta, and the Arctic, primarily due to the presence of predator animals. We find that there's been a growing concern about the bears, just generally both among corporations and the general public, said Eric Beer, use of force instructor at Silver Corps. There's been an increase in interest in bear defense specifically. Yeah, I mean, so if you're at for example, like a work camp here in Alberta, there's actually like notices that go around where it's like, hey, there's a bear at the east entrance. Don't use that entrance right now because there's a bear outside. So I mean, yeah, if you're out in the wilderness here in Alberta or in BC or Alaska, the Arctic, yeah, you may need It absolutely makes sense that a pistol would be easier to walk around with and work with than a rifle or a shotgun that's kind of bulky and slung across your back. So I understand, and pistol is also quicker to deploy compared to a rifle or pistol, or a rifle or a shotgun rather. So yeah, I mean, I think that more people should be applying for those ATCs because all across the U.S. There was another state that just recently got constitutional carry, Missouri. Just yesterday, or just the last couple of days here. Yeah, it was Missouri. All across the states, they're getting right to carry, and there is no blood in the streets. So if we've got our case study to the south of us, where we're clearly seeing this ramping up over the last decade or so here, and there's no blood in the streets. We should be pushing for this in Canada. Maybe not with the current regime, but with the next one, I guess.
We saw a significant increase in applications after the Parliament Hill shooting.
Yeah, we did.
And then some military guys got run over in Quebec, and it was like, all right, we're being targeted. So, yeah, they got flooded with applications for ATCs, and everybody got shut down, of course. But they are out there, and I don't mean wilderness carry. I mean, Dave is one of the people who qualifies people for a license to carry. So, if there's a need for somebody like Dave, that's just because they are, in some cases, giving people the license.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I think we should push for some more because, yeah, I mean, if let's say I'm out bow hunt, when I bow hunt, I'm bow hunting on land where there are black bear, and it would really be nice to have a pistol when I'm walking out there in the dark in the morning, and I know there are bears around.
Stop! I bow hunted bears for years, and I didn't take nothing in the woods but a bow, and then I shot the bear and ate the bear. Man up!
You should use a spear.
All right, let's not get that silly.
All right, so the next story that was put in was sent to us by James, and it's in regards to the Montreal Dawson shooting. It's the 10th anniversary of that, and they were talking about the fact that the guns that were used in the Dawson shooting are basically that gun manufacturers adapt the weapons to each country's law, improving sales and firearms expert explains that they're more accessible than ever and they should be actually banned. So what do you guys think about that? The one that was used then was the Beretta CX4 Storm, and it was remanufactured to have a longer barrel. They were saying from a 40 to a 48, and therefore it's more accessible. It's no longer restricted, and so that they're saying in the article that anybody can buy it and go and use it. They don't even have to go to a range to use it. So, yeah.
So they're just pointing out that there are a lot of what they consider military-style rifles in the Canadian market that are non-restricted because manufacturers are meeting the demands of the Canadian market. And yeah, they're building guns. Well, the Type 81. A CZ858 is awesome with a 14.5-inch barrel. Luckily, we're able to also get them with an 18.5-inch barrel. Making them non-restricted. I think the antis have known this for a while, that gun manufacturers are making guns to satisfy the definitions in the Canadian law in order to sell them to us. I mean, 4-inch revolvers are not allowed, so what does Ruger and Smith do? They build 4.2-inch revolvers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, of course they're going to make stuff to our market requirements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things popping up in the news. The Liberals are there's whispers, there's changes coming.
Well, once you see the CBC starting to crank out like article after article like this, it starts to raise the hair on the back of your neck that something's coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about the article that was put in about the OPP and the investigation of the stolen gun from their trunk?
You want to take that one? I think I threw it in there, but I haven't read it yet. I want to talk about the one on Caliber Magazine.
Okay, why don't you talk? Go ahead, Adriel.
Yeah, I think the thing that struck me here is I was stolen from our trunk kind of a thing.
So give us the backstory. What happened?
All right, I'll read this part out here. Judge laid out the details of the bungled investigation that led to charges being withdrawn against the father of one of 4 young males who took a lockbox containing an OPP-issued Sig Sauer P229 handgun, 3 clips of ammunition. I said it. It's in the article. A container of pepper spray, an ASP baton, handcuffs, and a police radio from the trunk of an officer's car in Carp sometime in November 2013. According to Ontario Superior Court Justice, the Ottawa Police called the OPP on November 25th to tell them the police equipment had been stolen, but that the information was disregarded by the OPP for a full 17 days. It wasn't until December 12th when the OPP detective whose equipment was stolen finally reported the missing items that the OPP assigned a team of detectives to investigate the case in a priority manner.
Let me stop you right there. If one of my handguns is stolen out of my car and I wait 17 days to report it, what do you think will happen to me?
What'll happen to you if a handgun's stolen from your car? It shouldn't ever be stolen from your car, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and coupled with the fact that it's stolen from my car, I wait 17 days to report it stolen. What do you think is going to happen to me for waiting 17 days?
Well, you're going to be coming to see me.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you like for breakfast?
Conjugal visits.
Christina? Anyways.
Anyways, it's a case of.
All right. So what happened? Somebody stole the stuff out of his car.
They found it. I'll shortcut it. They found it. They went to the residence of the young male who had reported he had the gun. They called his father, came out to meet them, and they told the polite and friendly father they believed his son was involved with the theft of police equipment. And then the police did involve. The father was involved. Asked about the theft. The father quickly blurted out that he knew where the gun was and that he was the one who had filed off the serial number and locked it away. Huh.
What?
That guy needed to be locked up.
Nicely done.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm assuming that the people in possession of the stolen goods were dealt with accordingly. Were there any repercussions for the law enforcement agencies here who allowed their gear to be stolen and didn't report it right away?
Well,
Is this story about the law enforcement, or is it about the criminals who stole from law enforcement?
Both. I think the piece that is a little bit interesting is just a little bit lower down here. Just a little bit lower down, the father's lawyers argued that the search violated the father's charter rights to be protected from warrantless search and seizure. The judge agreed. So apparently saying, I know where the gun is and I filed off the serial numbers is not a reason enough to search and find that illegal weapon. But exigent circumstances, this is the judge speaking here, exigent circumstances are extraordinary powers that are to be used only when necessary. Said Roger, who later noted the gun had been in the cooperative father's possession for close to a month without incident. Hadn't shot anyone yet. I do not accept the arguments of the Crown that there was a need to act to protect life, prevent injury, and prevent the commission of an offense or protect the evidence. The presence of a gun in and of itself does not necessarily pose a risk to the public or to life.
Wow, buy that man a glass of scotch.
That's going to be used in further cases. That whole statement.
The presence of a gun in and of itself does not necessarily pose a risk to the public or to life. And maybe that's why as a civilian I'm allowed to own them, you think? Maybe?
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the presence of a gun right now, and nothing's happening.
How many guns have you actually filed off the serial number and know that it's coming from an OPP officer's trunk?
None.
Exactly, none. The guy admitted to committing a criminal anyways.
Yeah, the highlight to this story is that the judge said those words, and they can't just use the fact that there's a gun there as a way to throw his rights out the window and ransack his house.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, even though he admitted to having it, and so this is probably the most conservative judge in Canada.
Yeah. Well, at the bottom here, it says, as for the officer whose gun was stolen, the OPP would only say the matter was resolved through internal discipline under the Police Services Act.
Okay, that's fine.
Week off, no pay.
Yep.
Probably.
Something like that. Sure.
All right.
I don't know what you guys can, but I can't afford to lose a week's pay. So.
Me neither. Nope.
You know, it's going to leave a mark. All right, next one.
Caliber Magazine. You said you wanted to talk about this one, Trevor.
So in conjunction with the news story that came out about the Dawson College, it was the anniversary of the Dawson College shooting, and that prompted the news story about all these non-restricted semi-automatic rifles that the Liberals need to go after. So alongside the news story about gun control in Canada on the anniversary of the Dawson College shooting, CTV News put up a poll and asked the question, do we need stricter gun control in Canada? And almost immediately, it was a resounding no. And because it wasn't the result they wanted, they pulled the story. So Caliber Magazine, or they pulled the poll. So Caliber Magazine asked the question, the media bias in Canada, real or imagined? So this is from Daniel Fritter, and it was published on September 15th, so today. As Canada's media remembered the tragic shooting at Dawson College that occurred 10 years ago, much of the rhetoric surrounding the media coverage hinged on the argument of gun control and the supposed lack of additional controls brought to bear since the shooting. Okay. An obvious contentious issue, CTV News Montreal opted to ask the public's opinion alongside their Dawson College covering with a daily poll asking, does Canada need tougher gun control? So in no time, it was up to 78% no. All right. And then it was gone. So the author continues. He says, we can't tell for sure because CTV, so it was up to 78%. Was it going to keep going higher? The author says, we can't tell for sure because CTV News removed the poll from their website. We sent CTV News an email asking why. This is the response from CTV News director in Quebec. While Talkback is not a scientific poll by any measure, the aim is to have a result that is a fair gauge of public opinion, rather than reflecting the ability of an organized campaign to mobilize voters on one side of the question or the other. So clearly, CTV News feels that groups like the CCFR went and published this poll all over social media and encouraged gun owners to go there and vote it down. Of course, that's what happened.
Yes, it is.
Of course, that's what happened because that's what we do. Because we need to have our voices heard.
That's what the antis do too. I mean,
Exactly.
Like this isn't just a
both
pure
sides.
gun owner thing.
Yep. So the CTV representative continues. He says, for that reason, we reserve the right not to publish the result when we detect an organized effort to influence the outcome. Man, the world is run by those who show up. The outcome reflected the desire of the people. I mean, so we got organized to tell you what we really think. But since what we think doesn't go with your agenda, you take it down.
Right.
If it was a resounding, yes, we need more gun control, you can be sure it would have stayed up. So the author continues, or the CTV rep says, this was the case last night. After reviewing the results and voting patterns, we were not satisfied the talkback results were an accurate reflection of the general audience's views and may have been influenced by external effort to sway the outcome. Absolutely. For that reason, we were unable to rely on the results from a journalistic perspective. This is such a crock. We concluded it would be inappropriate to publish them. Bull crap, because it didn't go your way. However, in April of this year, CTV ran this article, and there's a link to an article here, with the headline, 2/3 of Quebecers want a long gun registry.
But when they put that poll forward, the questions were swayed in such a way that most people would vote for, we need a registry, but they did not. Who did they ask? Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so the bias is allowed to go one way, Kelly.
I know.
So anyway, that's it. When the poll is in their favor, it stays up. When the poll is in our favor, it comes down. That's the moral of the story. And I'm glad that Caliber Magazine stepped up and contacted these guys. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, CTV Montreal, we know that the base, there's a lot of people in the city of Montreal themselves who watch watch CTV Montreal, and they are not in support of guns. But the people
Montreal is very liberal.
Right.
Quebec City is actually quite conservative.
Correct. So their listener base or their viewer base is a very liberal base, and they were expecting a different result in their survey.
Yes, they were. So
yeah.
All right, that's enough for the news.
Yeah,
I've got one more in there.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, this is a new cup. This is actually the guy I bought my Stoker from. He's in Edmonton, and he made a new company called Spectre Ballistics. And all they do right now is they've got a couple of muzzle brakes. They've got one in 308, one in 223. They look really cool. And he's also got an SKS magazine block thingy that lets you take those like duckbill Tapco mags and like really chop them down so that the duckbill is not nearly as bad. So I don't know if I'd do anything with the SKS thing because I kind of like the fixed mag, but the muzzle brake on it is really cool.
You heard it here first. He doesn't believe in full cap mags for hunting, and he likes the fixed mag on an SKS. We've got a FUD in our midst, Kelly.
It's okay. It's Adriel.
No, it's not okay.
Well, if you let's FUD it up. After the show, and listeners, Google the Adler A110 Rockstar and take a look at that one. I shared it on the Hunting Gear Guy Facebook page, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it a lot.
Never heard of her.
You'll have to take a look. It's very special.
You're special. All right, somebody move us into the main topic, for the love of God.
So tonight's main topic is about 3-Gun, and we have Dave Hartman from the 3-Gun Show podcast.
Welcome to the show, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Awesome. Actually, we, Trevor, Matthew, and I met one of your listeners while we were kind of on tour here in Alberta, and we had met Mark with a K, and he mentioned that he listens to your podcast. I didn't even know that there was a podcast that was dedicated to 3-gun shooting. So when he mentioned, I subscribed immediately. And you've got a really cool format. You kind of like you do your intro where you record it at home or wherever the case might be, and then you've got your interviews. So it's a really nice, tight, short show format that I really enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate that, and coming from you guys who've been doing this for a long time, that's a good compliment. So thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I usually try to just keep the the conversation to the conversation, and then the intro and outro is just usually kind of some teasers stuff we talked about, or catch up stuff that I need to, like admin wise, like telling people to go like us on Facebook and all that jazz. But yeah, the meat of it is the interview with top 3 gunners, people in the sport that you've all known and heard of for years. So.
Yeah, exactly, and they've usually got some really interesting topics that they talk about. But I mean, today it's all going to be about you. So, like, how did you get into 3-gun?
Oh, I don't actually shoot 3-gun.
You're more into archery, right? Archery,
yeah,
hiking, that kind of thing, rimfire.
I don't really like guns much, but no. So, 3-gun for me started out as when I got back into guns. I was an adult, like in my late 20s, and you've got guns and you're plinking on the range, and you're like, well, what can I do with these? And so, at the place that I used to work at, they actually had a range on site. So I found out they had a pistol league, and so I called up the head of the pistol league, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to come out. And the guy was a real jerk, so I never did. And then I found out that they had a 3-gun match, and I had a shotgun, I had a pistol, but I didn't have a rifle. So after building an AR-15 as inexpensive as possible, I went out with like my defense carbine, went out with my Glock 17 and Mossberg 500, and that was like 2011. And went out with a couple buddies, and we kind of used it as like practical training for defensive purposes. And I was absolutely hooked, and I turned into like a complete gamer. And now they're my 2 buddies. Went back again.
A complete gamer. Imagine that.
Absolutely.
I applaud.
I gamed so hard that I actually started a podcast so I could learn about 3-gun from the best in the business. So
that was kind of the intent when me and a couple of guys started Action Shoot Radio. I wanted to talk more about action shooting, and this show is a general show, so I wanted a show dedicated just to action shooting, and that was the whole idea. Eventually, the show would grow, and we'd be talking to some of the pros. And I got one of the best in Canada. It was a master or a grandmaster. He was one of the hosts. So the podcast was just me in disguise, picking his brain every week so I could get better at IPSC.
That sounds very familiar. That's exactly what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, what you mentioned the equipment you started with. How did your equipment evolve to kind of what you have now?
Oh my goodness. Well, immediately once you realize, that you want to make this like a game and you want to shoot it for the game rather than just keeping your self-defense or your home protection skills sharp, you start looking at what else is out there. And, the very first thing is like, well, this rifle, it's only shooting 5.56, 223, whatever you want to call it. But it's, it actually recoils quite a bit when you're talking about the targets being close and getting those fast follow-up shots, right? And it's, obviously it's nothing compared to like a 308 or something like that, but we're talking like in the context of the game. So, I started messing with a couple things there. I put a compensator on the rifle, put a nice trigger on for those long range shots. And then I bought a semi-automatic shotgun because the pump shotgun that only holds 6 rounds just does not cut it. Mm-hmm. And pretty much didn't touch my Glock 17 other than sights. I take that back. I did like some extended base pads for, some extra capacity because we go by like USPSA limited type lengths of magazines. So you obviously want to have 23 instead of 17. But then that's where I stayed for a long time. Only 2 years ago. So I had been shooting. Let's see, when did I say I started shooting? 2011, so 2014. So 5 years I shot with my Glock 17, and then I bought a Glock 34. And then just this year, after 6 years of shooting, I decided, I'm finally building my 3-gun AR-15. So that is a complete race gun. It's impractical for almost everything else, but it's a tack driver, and it's really good for shooting long distances too.
Well, what makes a 3-gun AR versus just like a regular service grade AR kind of a thing?
Oh man, so much. So all of your accuracy in the rifle is in the barrel. So you want to start the whole rifle by selecting a really good barrel. So I chose a Seekins Precision 18-inch rifle length gas. The 18-inch because it was the shortest one I could get with still a rifle length gas. The rifle length gas system reduces the recoil impulse. Makes it a little bit softer to shoot. From there, just attached it to like a mil spec Aero Precision upper. Threw in a JP Rifles bulk carrier group, and I'm testing another one out from Iron City right now. And then let's see, low mass buffer system spring, and then just a really good trigger. And that's
sounds remarkably similar to my rifle. I went the same thing. I took off I had an STI AR, and I took off the 16.5-inch barrel, and I went with an 18.5-inch barrel. And a lot of the people that I shoot with were like, "Why do you need a barrel that long?" I said, "Well, if ever I want to stretch it out, I'll be accurate at distance." Well, all of our targets are close. Yeah, okay, so you're only accurate close. My long barrel allows me to be accurate close and at distance. So right. I'm not following your logic here.
And, I haven't found it being like a hindrance to have that extra 2 inches on there.
No.
It's not that big of a deal. But, with those long rifle shots, now you're confident that you're going to be hitting that with match grade ammo. And I've even found like huge improvements in just the normal blaster ammo that I shoot like 200 yards in. Mm-hmm. Even that has gotten more accurate with a really good barrel.
Mm. And then I went and stuck a Benny Hill comp on it. Actually, that's not true. There was a Benny Hill comp on the barrel when I got it. I've got a Stag 3G barrel that I put on the front of my STI. So it's not a match grade barrel, but I think it's a better barrel than the STI barrel.
Yeah, for sure. So the Stag 3G is like that was like the very first mass market three-gun
rifle, yeah.
And you could always buy like a JP Enterprises rifle or some of the other sweet manufacturers. But that was like the first, large volume manufacturer that put out a 3-gun rifle, and they sold a ton of them.
It reminds me of like back in the day when you used to have your open gun built off a Caspian frame and a Caspian slide, and a gunsmith would put it together for you, and then all of a sudden STI and SVI Infinity started actually making commercially available open guns. Kind of the same thing. Stag was like, let's build a rifle for these 3-gun guys who don't have the big budgets or don't have the access to the gunsmiths to get these things built.
Exactly. And for people that don't know exactly what they're looking for in a rifle too, they can just go buy the 3-gun model, right?
Yeah, makes it very approachable when you've got a manufacturer out there that builds exactly what you need, and all you need to do is buy it.
Yeah. Now that being said, if you just want to get in, your rack grade rifle will keep you going until you decide that this is where you want to go and start dumping more money into your guns.
That's true. And if you're going to go that route, you can shoot for a long time. Like I said, I shot for, I think, 6 years in that way. The one thing you're going to want to do is free float the barrel and get a good trigger. And then right there, you're going to be good to go for 90% of the shooting out there. Mm-hmm. When you're ready to make that next step, then you just go buy an Armalite 3-gun rifle, which is the best value for the money right now in 3-gun rifles, and then you call it a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You didn't mention what kind of forend did you end up going with?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What kind of forend did you go with?
I went with a Midwest Industries. Went with their Key Mod. The reason I chose that, it had like some QD attachments for a sling, and the some of the matches you're required to sling a rifle. So very few, but it does come up every now and then. It's nice to have that in there instead of just doing the big goofy attachments.
Yeah, I like the QD as well for just for like limited use 3-gun kind of stuff. QD is really nice. It's nice and tight. It stays out of the way otherwise, and it doesn't like rattle around like a mash hook or something like that would.
Yeah, for sure. And I went as long as possible. They make a 15-inch, and so that's what I put on there. And a couple times I wished it was longer, but not very often.
Awesome. What about your shotgun? So you mentioned that you upgraded to a semi-auto. Did you go with like the Benelli M2 or the Versamax or?
Well, so all my friends shot FN SLPs, and so a few times I had borrowed one of theirs for a stage, and those things were amazing as far as just tack drivers for slugs, right? And at the time we were doing the I don't know what the hell they call it, the weak hand load, where you basically pull 4 shells in one hand and they're stacked side by side by side, and then you just kind of shuffle them in with your thumb.
Yeah, like I'm still doing.
Yeah, the old school method is
the slow school method.
The slow school method, yes. So that's what we were doing, right? So we didn't have like the the load twos and the quads that was just coming out there, and it wasn't appreciably fast enough to. Actually, the quad load did not exist, but the dual load was not appreciably fast enough to make a difference. So I was saving up for an FN SLP. Their competition model has a nice, beautiful blue receiver and stuff like that. And then right when I'm ready to buy, don't have any sort of dealers in town that have it. I keep finding the normal ones, but it has a shorter barrel, and I wanted the longer shotgun barrel. Mossberg comes out with their JM 930, right? And it's the Jerry Mitchell-like model, and it has an 8-round tube already, which at the time was the max that you would find. So 22-inch barrel clamp, chrome trigger group to make it a little bit smoother, all kinds of other stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's exactly everything I would want, and it's less than half the price. So I bought one of the very first Jerry Mitchell-like model shotguns that came out, and I ended up with like a 22-inch barrel, but I believe they make a 24-inch as well.
Mm-hmm. How's the reliability on it?
I have been very, very fortunate. I am one of the lucky ones where I haven't had a lot of problems. I had like a bunch of failure to ejects that I traced down to the Winchester bulk ammunition that you can get from Walmart here in the U.S. And I just, started buying the Federal, and I was fine. And then last year? I believe it was last year. I had malfunction after malfunction after malfunction, and I was like fed up and cursing Mossberg and everything. And then I was like, you know what? Finally, I'm going to watch this 30-minute video that Jerry Mitchell did on how to clean the shotgun. It's like, it shouldn't be 30 minutes to clean a shotgun, but I realize now that like half that time is him, talking about the shotgun and all the features and benefits and everything. But one of the things I learned was that piston needs to be disassembled to be cleaned. It sounds basic to everyone, but I had no clue because I never owned a semi-auto shotgun. So once I saw Jerry take it apart, I did the exact same thing to mine, clean it up, and I haven't had any malfunction since. So I'm sorry, Mossberg. Sorry for all the bad things I said about you. But I've been pretty lucky on that as far as reliability. That said, I did make a switch to a Stoeger M3000 recently.
Awesome. Well, I run a Stoeger M3500, which so I would have the what was there? I think they have the M3K. Is that their competition version? Yes. I would have one of those, but here in Canada, the amount of shotgun shells you can have in your tube, like the chamber length matters. So a 3.5-inch shotgun, you can run 7 in the tube. It's weird. So you can run like at most 5 of the shell that it's designed for. The 3500 is designed for 3.5 shells. So I can set it so that it will fit no more than 5, which really I'm setting it for like 5.8, 5.9 of the 3.5-inch shells, and that'll get me 7 of the 2 3/4.
Huh.
And then 1 in the chamber, and then 1 ghost load, and boom, I'm at 9, right? But here in Canada, if you run a 3-inch gun instead of a 3.5, you're limited to 1 less in the tube.
Nice. So, I was actually looking at the 3500 because I was, thinking that bigger loading port and everything would be advantageous for quads. How do you find you like it? What do you think?
I love it so much. For loading, oh yeah, it's such a huge target, and the loading gate on it is so low resistance that I can quad load, and that thing is slick as snot, taking those shells, no problem. My buddy's got a Beretta 1301 competition, and that is really nice, but it's got a little bit more resistance, and it's not nearly as fast to load as the Stoeger 3500 is. The only disadvantage to the Stoeger here in Canada is that there are no 24 or 26-inch barrels to be found. There are only 28s. So I've got a 28-inch. I sent it away to get cut and retapped and reset for chokes, and they said it was too thin to put the chokes back in. So I guess I'm going to wait until Stoeger Canada brings in some 24s because
Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Who did you send it to?
The Calgary Shooting Center.
Oh. Send an email over to Casey at Tactical Ordnance, because he was cutting down Versamax barrels, and he can rethread them, but he doesn't use a rem choke or the existing choke system that's in the Versamax.
Is he going thin wall?
He had to go to some other choke, and apparently it's not the most readily available choke, so some people were passing on the job, but he was able to get it done. So he may do the same thing on the 3500 barrel. It's an email. It's worth looking into.
Yeah, that's probably the thin wall. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I really like the Stoker for all of that. I mean, it's clean. It doesn't get gunked up like the piston-driven shotguns do as much.
Yeah.
But
Looking forward to that.
I mean, one of the disadvantages is if, like, I'm a big guy. I'm like 220, and if I ride the shotgun a little bit too hard and don't let it recoil, I can force it to jam. And if I'm like driving it like way too hard and I'm way too like hard on it in a match, I can get it to malfunction. So I just have to remember to not get up on top of it too much.
Right. Be a little ginger with it.
I imagine if I cut 4 inches of barrel off of it, that would help too, because it would help cut down on the weight of it and it'd help it recoil more. But yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. So why do you think they don't have any 24 or 26 inch barrels? Do you think that's
It's Canada. I think it's because right now it's being marketed as like a duck and goose gun. So a 3.5 inch chamber, you can put some big heavy shells in there, but people aren't using it. Like 3-gun is practically non-existent in Canada. My club's one of the ones in the area that does it, and we're like at best we've got like 35 guys that come out, kind of a thing. So it's not incredibly popular out here just yet. It's getting there.
So I have a friend from back home in Colorado. I actually met him when he was in Wyoming, but he had just moved from Canada. And having known that, I did a practice interview with him, before I started the 3-gun show thing here. In interviewing, professional shooters, I was like, maybe I'll get a couple friends and just kind of talk to them and get some reps in. So I picked his brain about 3-gun in Canada, and it was just like an hour of me going, whoa, no way. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense, And so,
I mean, it depends where you are. We run 3-gun at my club using USPSA rules, and the only difference between us and south of the border is mag capacity.
Right.
And we've figured out a way to run 15 rounds in our rifles and 9 rounds in our shotguns.
And 17 in your pistols.
Oh yeah, I figured that out too.
Yeah.
So it's all like, Dave. It's like letter of the law is 5 rounds in a rifle magazine.
5 round in any semi-automatic long gun.
Yeah.
Right.
And So
tell me about the 15 then.
Beowulf mags.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's made for 5 Beowulf. Beowulf are big, and they just so happen to also feed 223.
Interesting. So the letter then says your magazine must fit 5 rounds, not you must put 5 rounds in your magazine.
The law says that, and it actually says this in an RCMP bulletin on magazine capacity for businesses. When it comes to capacity, it's not what you can fit in the mag of a different caliber. It's how many will fit in the mag for the caliber it was designed for.
Oh, no way.
That's where they concern themselves. So, for example, I bought FNS 40 mags that fit in my FNS 9, and the way they design those magazines is that the rounds are stopped by the nipples in the mag, not the follower. So the 40 mags go down, or the 40 rounds in the 40 mag slide down the mag body, and they'll hit the dimples and they'll stop. But if you fill that magazine up with 9mm rounds, they slide right past those dimples along with the follower and go all the way to 17.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and as long as I don't modify the mag and mess with it in any way, shape, or form, it's designed for 40. It's stamped 40 and 357 SIG. Perfectly legal.
Yeah. I mean, most other people for pistols are running like straight up 10 rounders. Maybe they've got like the Beretta 96 mags in their Beretta, so they're squeezing out an extra 2 or something like that. But most people are running 10 rounders, so it's very common, especially in 3-gun here, to see people with a whole bunch of pistol mags and a whole bunch of rifle mags as well. So we don't run with like the typical loadout in the States where you have like maybe 2 mag holders for your AR. Some people will have like 4.
See, also, Dave, I'm the match director for all of our 3-gun matches going on 5 years now. So
13 rounds.
Kinda. When I design the stages, I design them around the capacities of the guns that I run. So you want to talk about a gamer? I'm out there with a 9-round semi-automatic shotgun. Most guys are still on a pump. And some of the guys have tricked out their pumps because there's no capacity limit on a pump or a lever action or a bolt action in Canada. So, sorry, lever action, in case Doc Wesson's listening. And so there's still some guys with pumps, right? So they'll put a tube on there to get like 10 or 12 rounds in their pump after they start. But yeah, so when it comes to gaming, yeah, I show up with Beowulf mags, 17-round pistol mags. I get some comments, and they're not always nice.
I was going to say, no wonder you only have 35 shooters. No one wants to play with you if you're going to cheat the whole time.
Hey, the only law or the only rule when it comes to capacity in one of our club's 3-gun matches is follow the Canadian law.
Oh, well, there you go.
As long as you're following Canadian law, it's run what you brung as far as capacity is concerned. Mm-hmm. And if you weren't smart enough to buy Beowulf mags, what do you want me to do about it? It's like in our target archery, I shoot the largest commercially available arrow on the market so that I can cut those lines if I'm close to the 10. And I get guys out there with crappy little arrows calling me a cheater. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. I've got
an advantage, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got a turbo in my car. I'm not supposed to use it because you don't. Go away.
All right, then. Don't shoot with Trevor. That's what I learned today.
Well, I mean, I run all the same thing. I got a 9-round shotgun and 17 rounds in my pistol, and I don't know, my rifle's like pretty much everything else out there. I have been thinking of upgrading the barrel, though. I've just got a Spike 16-inch, I think, barrel in there right now, and the accuracy is so-so, I would say. I think I could do better. Right now, our range doesn't have any long bomb stuff, but once we get approval on it, we'll have out to 800 yards. So I'll have to get my barrel straightened away for that.
Yeah, you will definitely want something different then.
Yeah, what kind of distances are you typically shooting at your matches down there for your rifle?
Let's see. So it depends on the match, of course. I was just at a match called Generation 3-Gun last weekend, which was amazing. And their farthest target was 375. Wow. And then they had one at 330, one at 300, and then 2 at 250, and then a bunch in from there. And that was their all rifle stage. And then they had another 3-gun stage that the longest shot, and these were done from spools, was I want to say 310 or 318, something like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, and then you go to like a match like Rocky Mountain 3-Gun, and you're going to be shooting 575, 580, something like that. So. Yeah,
it was on. I think it was on your latest show. You had a guest on, and he was talking about running 55 grain ammo for close stuff, and then he had 77 grain bullets for like really long bombs.
Yeah, that's very common for from what I found in talking to people in matches and talking to my guests on the podcast, is to run I referred to it earlier as blaster ammo, 200 and in, and it's basically the cheapest stuff you can buy, whether you're buying Federal American Eagle or some reman stuff from, a reliable source or PMC or something like that. That's what you're going to use from like 200 yards and in, and it's generally 55 grain. Mm-hmm. And just because it's less expensive and you don't need, high zoot stuff to shoot paper targets at 13 yards, right? So once you get out past 200 yards, and that number is different for everyone, right? When I first started switching ammo, it was, 150 yards, but now I'm confident that the ammunition that I'm shooting, the blaster ammunition, is going to hit at 200. So once I get past 200, I'll switch to a different ammunition. A lot of people like to go with the heavier stuff. I was shooting some 77 grain Gorilla ammunition that I really, really liked, but I found that it dropped off quite a bit because it's such a heavy round comparatively. So I wanted to go with something faster based on an article I read by John Paul of JP Rifles, basically saying that your drop at distance is going to be a lot less with a faster round. So I was looking into like some 69 grain, and I couldn't find any in time. I was at Cabela's, found some Hornady 55 grain VMAX that is actually doing about 3240 according to their box. And when I punched that into the Streetlock app on my phone, which is a ballistics app, I was like, well, that hole can't be right. But then, the very first match I shot, it was a Montana multi-gun, and we had a 378-yard bonus target. And I hit it on the second shot, and it was exactly on the hole, exactly where it said it would be. So I've been just shooting 55 grain VMAX ever since. But I have found that if you're at like a distance like 330, 375, something like that, it hardly moves the target. So that's when the 77 grain or the 69 grain bullets really comes in handy. So I might end up, finding somewhere in between like a 69 or 62 grain that's, moving pretty fast as well. So, but that's just kind of something I've been experimenting with lately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I run that PMC 55 grain blaster stuff for everything right now because we're not running long distance. But as soon as we do, I'm going to have to get my trimmer and get my die set up all running again on 223. I've been saving all my brass, so I've got a pile of it, and I'll just have to, go with a better bullet and something that's just reloaded is going to be more accurate than just PMC bulk stuff, right?
Right, and that's so key, and that makes the game so much more enjoyable. And like you were talking earlier, you see guys in the US here going out to the range with one magazine in the gun and one on your belt, and you hardly ever use that second one on your belt when you've got good ammunition,
and huge magazines.
Well, there is that too. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about like going 1 for 1 on targets instead of spending 10 rounds to miss and miss and miss. So it becomes huge, and the economies work out as well when you're spending. For me, I don't reload, so when you're spending like $1 a round on very good ammunition, you want to be smart about where you shoot it. But then, if you're shooting 30-cent a round PMC, but you're wasting 10 rounds, that's $3, and you just did yourself a disadvantage there. So
yeah,
it makes a huge difference to have quality ammunition for rifle for sure.
Yeah, exactly. What are you running for? What kind of shotgun setup are you doing? Like, what are you running for carriers and that kind of thing? Oh,
for carriers? Okay, so let me finish my shot on my Stoger real quick. I ended up sending a Stoger out to Mark Roth at RCI X-Rail. So it came back with a 12 round magazine tube, 24-inch barrel, and some really nice laser etching on it that is actually pretty cool. So I've been transitioning to that. So that's kind of what I'm doing over the next few weeks here. So caddies. So as far as caddies, I worked a match where Carbon Arms was one of the major sponsors, and so I picked up a bunch of caddies in compensation for that from Carbon Arms. And then I've been messing around with some tack-on caddies as well. And but I gotta say, the new Safariland quad load caddies look absolutely incredible. They actually hold the shell by the rim, so I think that's going to be a huge game changer for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I those are looking really cool. I've looked at the TACOM as well. It's just I ended up getting some what were those Invictus practical 8 packs, and I've just got 3 of those, so I don't think I need anything else.
Yeah, no kidding. Most people I know that I shoot with back home in Colorado run those Invictus and absolutely love them. And I really like how hardcore they are with the steel frames and everything. So yeah, those look like a good option.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
do you load your belt or your chest or?
Belt. I run everything on my belt. If I had, I wouldn't mind doing a chest rig for shotgun, but I've actually got 2 belt setups. I've got one that's just shotgun because we have just a shotgun stage, I guess, at my 3-gun typically. So I've got one belt set up just for shotgun and one for shotgun rifle pistol.
Cool.
And the inner belt stays on, outer belt just kind of swaps in and out, kind of a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I usually stick with belt if I can. If I'm going prone, though, I'll go with, going prone like on rifle before we shoot shotgun. Mm-hmm. I'll do a chest rig, but then move it to the back. So then as I'm swapping guns, I'll just slide it to the front, and then now I can load my shotgun.
Sweet. I don't want to take up all the time here. Kelly or Trevor, do you guys have any questions?
I got a couple. I was wondering, Adriel's saying that he only has about 35 participants at his matches. How many on average when you go to a match are you seeing?
Well, okay, so the local matches that I shot back home, depending on which match, it would be anywhere from 55 to 80. I've heard of some local matches getting well into like the hundreds, so 110, 120, 130 participants, which is incredible for a local match.
Okay. How many of the? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say major matches can vary, but you're looking at like 200 to 300 competitors at a major match.
Okay.
Wow.
So, Dave, when you see 150 people showing up to a local match, it must freak out the match director. Like, how many squads do they do then?
Oh, I'll be honest. I haven't been to a match of that size.
Okay.
I would imagine they're shooting like all freaking day, right? And
Yeah.
they've probably got like 6 stages and having to separate them in that manner. But yeah, most of the matches that I've gone, I'd say the max that I've seen personally would probably be about 70.
Okay.
What about the percentage of ladies that are participating now in the sport?
You see more ladies all the time, but they're very few and far between. You know, it's and it's not for lack of skill either. It's probably an interest sort of thing. I regularly get my butt whooped by the ladies in the sport. So, but there's new people all the time. And so I just mentioned I went to that Generation 3 gun last weekend, in Missouri, and so it's called Generation 3 gun based on the people that started it had 3 generation of 3 gunners, right? So it is a nonprofit match. Like every dollar that the match raises goes to pay for scholarships for juniors to go shoot other matches, and all juniors shoot those matches for free. So when you're looking at like all the juniors standing in one spot, it's about 50-50 ladies and boys. But the previous generations, it's the men far outweigh the women.
So women are getting out there. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm fairly new. So for someone who's fairly new to this, like me, what would you recommend for equipment for just somebody who's basically starting out?
Okay, for someone who's starting out is what I always say is go shoot your first match, borrow equipment, and then decide what you want to do, right? So like I mentioned earlier, me and a couple of buddies went out to shoot our defensive equipment, and that was our goal, right? So the stuff that we had was good when you're loading shotgun shells from your pocket and stuff like that. And we actually didn't want to borrow any equipment because we just wanted to go with what we had, right? Mm-hmm. But then once I decided that I wanted to shoot it for competition-wise, then you start making different decisions, right? Now you're talking about like a compensator on your rifle where you wouldn't usually use that for home defense. Right. So what I would say for a newbie is look around, see what you have. If you have a pistol, bring that pistol. If you have, obviously it has to have a serviceable holster and a couple magazines, or maybe a dozen magazines if you're in Canada. I don't know.
Canada.
You're not far off.
So a dozen magazines and a pistol and a serviceable holster. And if you've got a shotgun, bring that shotgun. It doesn't really matter what kind. I've seen guys shoot with, 28-inch bird guns that they've, killed a bunch of pheasants with and everything. Mm-hmm. And then whatever rifle you have. That would be your first match. And then you can make decisions from there. Always talk to people. Find the people that are, super friendly and borrow equipment. And I'm not sure how it is where you guys shoot, but, where I shoot all over the U.S. this year, everyone is so super friendly. If you're missing a caddy or, you break something, someone is always there to give you what they have. There's guys that'll give you, full magazines full of ammunition to shoot a stage and stuff like that. I've actually seen, guys bring out backup rifles and hand them off and stuff. So start there and then decide what you want to do. If you just want to shoot it like on a, weekly basis, get one of the inexpensive but good rifles, like the Armalite 3-gun rifle is a good one. I keep mentioning that not because I'm sponsored by them, because it is actually a really good rifle, and it's very inexpensive too, especially here in the U.S. Get a good semi-automatic shotgun that you can handle yourself. Recoil is different between men and women, so make sure that you try a couple out, and then whatever double stack 9mm pistol you want to go with.
Perfect. Okay, Trevor, what about you?
I think that's about it. No, I can't think of anything to ask. Dave, you did a good job.
Oh, I'm glad there was no math in this. Sweating it.
All right. So if this Course of Fire has 28 rounds of shotgun.
Oh, how dare you. I tell you what, when we go up to a stage and there's something other than birdshot on a stage, I start to panic a little bit because I know somewhere I'm going to have to mix my load with shotgun, with birdshot slugs or birdshot and buck like we did last week. And I'll be honest, it's counting up and counting down is not something that is like natural to me. Some people just go, oh, you just do it this way. And for me, I'm like, oh crap, where am I going to load? And now how many do I have in the tube and stuff like that? So
yeah, unless you practice it, it's not too intuitive. As a match director, I don't want to set up that kind of a stage because I know somebody is going to hit one of my mild steel poppers with a slug and damage it. So I'm just not going to open up the door for that opportunity.
Well, the way you do that is you always shoot slugs last, right?
Yeah.
So then you get the opportunity to throw a bird shot at a slug target, which doesn't end up hurting anybody. So
Exactly. Oops.
Yep.
Drop the mic.
No, that was a 1911.
It's only a 1911.
Leave it on the floor.
It's fine.
okay.
It's fine.
Now you got to rebuild it.
Yes. I just finished rebuilding it. All right.
Awesome. Well, Dave, where can people find you online? And now's your chance to plug your stuff.
Okay, well, first I just want to say that the Three Gun Show is a weekly interview show, and I always have great guests on, and it's been pretty amazing. And I just kind of think I got a little peek into why, because you kind of get into like a little bit of a flow when you're the guest and just being really you want to give all the value and everything you know. So I've had guys like Jerry Mitchellek and Keith Garcia and Taryn Butler on the podcast, and they've just explained like absolutely everything they know about the game. The tips and stuff that they come up with are way better than what I can come up with. So that's why I always have a guest. It's every week, and it's at 3gunshow.com. You can find it in iTunes, Stitcher, and stuff like that. If you're on Instagram and Facebook, it's just at 3gunshow. And if you want to email me or anything, dave@3gunshow.com. So there it is.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to, from Slamfire Radio, thank you again for coming on today and giving away all your tips for Three Gun out to our listeners. And I hope that a lot of our listeners go and subscribe to your podcast too.
Awesome. It was very fun. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Dave.
Just wanted to say thank you again to Dave Hartman for coming on and talking all about Three Gun.
Yeah.
So, listener feedback, guys. Who wants to start us off? Trevor?
All right. So we've got a two-parter from Craig. This is part one. I love your podcast and really appreciate all the information you guys give us listeners. I have to give you some quick background first about myself. I have a 12-year-old I have a 12-year-old who has wanted to hunt for a few years. So in June, my three boys and I took our hunter safety course from an amazing local guy who is a gun collector. He convinced me to get my RPAL as well. Seeing as before June I had never even considered being a gun owner, I searched the internet and found your podcast. I powered through all the episodes. My brain mostly melted, and now I own a Glock. That's not what it says. That's improv. I powered through all the episodes you have done, and you guys sound great to me at 1.5 speeds. Even Owen's extra 20 minutes of Comfrey usage. I have loved Trevor's handgun reviews, and I recently received my first two guns: an FN FNS 9L and a Walther PPQ. A Walther PPQ M2B. I think I bought it just to have. Oh yeah, I think I bought it just to have it before him. Yeah, thanks. Now you send me a review then. What 9mm ammo do you think would be a good choice off the shelf for these? Winchester White Box. I mean, just get cheap stuff, and those are both good guns that'll shoot, any kind of affordable factory ammo well. If you're just plinking, I mean, just put anything through them. Doesn't matter. Barnell's, S&B, Winchester White Box. Blazer. You don't need to buy. Blazer aluminum or Blazer brass. I'm having some issues finding any handgun classes or coaches here in Saskatoon. Do you have any YouTube videos you would recommend for a new shooter to start with? Last question. Both of my beautiful new guns have pretty plain sights. What do you think of tritium versus fiber optic sights? And does changing them affect the IPSC class or anything in 3-gun or the other shooting competitions? Thank you, guys. Okay, so we answered the ammo question. The next question was, having issues finding handgun classes or coaches, check with your local gun club and see if there's any training going on there. Sign up for an IPSC class. See if there's an IPSC instructor. If you don't want to take a black badge right away, see if there's an IPSC instructor who can give you some pointers on stance, grip, sight alignment, etc. Who knows?
Check out CGN too, because there's a lot of that kind of stuff on CGN, and they do post up on there, right?
Yeah. Okay.
If you can name an alternative, a place where you can go that's centralized, I'm all ears.
Yeah, there's just so much crap on CGN and so many keyboard commandos who can't shoot but like to offer advice. Mm-hmm. So it's like the Archery Talk website, guys who can't shoot 300s that are trying to coach. Do you have any YouTube videos you would recommend?
I don't know. Like I went through a bunch of them when I wanted to go from making noise to like shooting for real and putting lead on target.
Just be careful who you're watching. Is it some guy with a video camera and a gun, or is it a renowned instructor? Jerry Mitchellek has a lot of great videos. Yeah. So check out some of Jerry's stuff. Last question. Both my beautiful guns have pretty plain sights. Yep, the FN comes with plain sights. And Dave Savigny and Warren Tactical. Go to the Dave's, either Google Savigny sights or Warren Tactical sights, and you can order sights from them for your FN. I put a set on my FN. Lorette put a set on his FN. I put a set on Chris Kingston's FN. So there are dovetail sights that you tap out and tap back in. You'll have to fit the front one probably. The back one I think went in pretty good and has a screw to lock it down in place, a set screw if you will. So tritium, I would go tritium on the Walther because it's more of a carry gun, and I would go fiber optic on the FN because it's more of a competition gun, 5-inch slide, for example. When it comes to IPSC, you can put whatever sights you want on the gun, providing they don't take like excessive gunsmithing. Sights are one of the things you're allowed to change that can be produced by a aftermarket manufacturer. Your sights can be changed and don't have to be original manufacturer equipment. So you're good to go there, and you won't have to worry about changing divisions or anything in IPSC or 3-gun. All right. Part two. This one's to McClatchy. McClatchy, my boys had a second Christmas when I brought home a Marlin 795 and a box of Winchester 555 ammo. I expect I have the only 12-year-old in the country looking forward to receiving our order of Slipstream. Thanks so much, Craig. That's awesome. Cool. Good choice on the 22 and amazing choices on the pistols. You got the one striker-fired gun I didn't get rid of and got the other striker-fired gun I can't wait to get my hands on. Awesome.
The Walther.
All right.
This next one here is from James Bork, and this is in reference to the ATC article that he submitted. He's saying, question, old article, but wonder. Frosty, get on this. See if you can get a permit. Those ground squirrels are vicious. Sharp, pointy teeth. Well, you have some homework to do.
That's true.
How much does it cost to apply for the ATC? Wasn't it like $100?
I don't know. It may be different. Maybe different from CFO to CFO, but you know what? I forgot to take a cheap shot at James and Don. James and Don left the match early on Sunday. Ask me why.
Why?
It might rain.
Well.
Yep, they did that. I mean, Don was straight up. He's like, yeah, we are pansies. And James just gave me a hug and left. Might rain. See you later. Or maybe they were waiting too long. I don't know.
Well,
I'm going with the rain excuse.
If it's less than $100, maybe I will apply for an ATC to defend myself against those vicious ground squirrels. That'd be funny.
There you go.
Good plan. So this one's from Sean. How ironic that I was listening to your latest show on my drive to some public land for my first duck hunt. I have bought a license for the last 3 years now, but this is my first serious attempt at duck hunting. I got up at 4:45 a.m. and headed out shortly after. Legal light here is 6 o'clock, and I have a bit of a drive to get there. I don't have camo, decoys, blinds, or basically anything. I have a new Ithaca 37 pump gun, and I shoot pretty decent after. I can't read tonight. Do you guys want to read this?
That is all. Since I don't have any camo, I set out under a small willow bush between two ponds. I sat in the grass for an hour before a duck flew by within range. I took one shot, but the willow branches messed with my swing and I missed it. Shortly after, another duck came in head on, but as I raised my gun up, it must have realized, hey, there's a dude hiding in the bush, and took off to the side out of range. About 15 minutes later, another group of 2 ducks came straight in. This time, when I raised the gun, they kept on coming. I swung at the first duck and pulled the trigger. It folded and fell to the ground about 20 yards out. I only shot the one and then packed up. I don't hunt something unless I'm going to eat it, and I've never tried wild duck before. I wanted to see what they taste like before I continued with my waterfowl operations. I took it home, cleaned it, and the breasts sliced thin and the legs fried in light oil with sea salt. Sea salt. Tastes like candy. Unfortunately, I only got to eat 3 pieces as my 8-year-old son vacuumed the rest up. If Matthew is contemplating duck hunting, I would say go for it. They are very tasty. I know this is getting long-winded, but I was the one with the Facebook question about the Norinco 213 pistol. I finally got it out to the range and fired 100 rounds of 9mm through it. I like it. Very accurate, small, and thin. It was very dirty from the previous owner. The mags wouldn't drop free. They were so gummed up. So I had 2 malfunctions that may be related to that. Also, my meat hook hands tend to get smacked with the hammer if I try to grip it too high. Not the most ergonomic thing, but for $200 shipped, it is a fun toy to play with. Love the show more and more with each episode. Not much of a pistol shooter, but enjoy the competition talk nevertheless. More episodes on hunting would be awesome, seeing how you got that hunting gear guy fellow on there now. Since you haven't got any, add 5 duck bills to the tally. Why not, right? Cheers, Sean from Saskatchewan.
And sorry, Sean, for screwing up your email.
We all have to do it.
Written well, read poorly. And she still did better than I would have. But it's late and we're tired. And Kelly's drunk. So 5 duck bills.
No.
5 duck
Yeah.
bills. We'll have to add those in there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anybody know anything about this New Brunswick hillbilly?
Yes.
Well,
You're hearing me right now on the headset that he kindly donated to improve the audio quality that is the Frelatte.
really?
Yeah, you're enjoying sultry Frelatte tones because
Ooh.
MB Hillbilly sent me a real headset.
Here we go.
Yep, he's the
Okay.
man. Yeah.
He sent us a picture.
Yes, he did.
Can you want to describe it?
Yeah, it's a Colt assault rifle. He obviously got bored in the lunchroom at work, took the salt shaker, dumped it on the table, and formed the pile of salt into the shape of a modern sporting rifle, if you will, with an optic and a vertical hand grip and a full capacity magazine.
And it has Colt written on the side of it. So, yeah. He says, well, I guess there is such a thing after all. And all this time I thought they were mistaken. Never miss a show. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I also have
I'll add that image to the show post in Facebook.
Nice. I have a bug assault thanks to Chris Anderson.
A bug assault?
Yeah, it's a pump action gun that you put table salt in and you use it for shooting flies around your house or spiders on your front deck. It's called the bug assault because you assault bugs with salt. You not seen one of these, Kelly?
You should call it the bug assault gun.
Yeah, you're gonna have to Google that, Kelly. Bug assault.
Bug assault.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you read the next one? Because I can't read tonight, and I'll Google bug assault.
All right, sounds good. So this one is from Mark with a K. Hey, guys and gal. Just wanted to send a comment about the September 8th episode, number 171. But first, I want to thank you guys and gal for doing what you do and sharing your experiences and knowledge with everyone. Always entertaining and always informative. A listener was asking about travel to his RV with restricted firearms. As you had mentioned, we did discuss this exact question when you guys were out in Alberta for the course back in August. By the way, Mark cooked great steak. He fed us steak that day, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it was rare, but basically he knocked off the horns, wiped its butt, and put it on my plate. It was amazing. To clarify, here's what I learned from a few calls with the Alberta CFO. Traveling with an RV is no different than traveling to the range or competition and staying with friends or at a hotel. Because my RV is semi-permanent at its location, I was told by one CFO employee that I would need to fill out a secondary storage application, which I did and was denied for the reason that the RV is mobile. In the end, I got to talk with a team coordinator at the CFO, and the conclusion was that taking my firearms to the RV when I was planning to visit the range during my RV stay was no different than any other case of traveling and staying at a hotel with friends or pulling my RV to another range. P.S. 5 gold stars, 5, count 'em, 5, and 2 Hobbit thumbs, which I'm very partial to. Thank you, Mark. Cheers, Mark with a K. So, for the listener who had the RV question, I hope that helps. And his RV being, he thought he would be good because it's semi-permanent at his location. So what he means by that is he parks it in a location in among other RVs, big fifth wheels and stuff, and they're seasonal. They stay there all season. They don't leave every weekend. The RV or the trailer or the fifth wheel or whatever is parked there, and there's like landscaping. There's a deck attached to the front of it. I mean, these things are basically mobile cottages that you park for the whole summer. So, yeah. All right, from Colin, who's got that?
I'll take it. I'll try it. How's
Are
that?
you sure? You can do
I'll
this.
try.
You got
can do
this. I believe in you. Take it one word at a time. Whenever you're ready.
Hello, hosts. Hello, hosts of Slam Fire Radio. I have a question or two for all of you. Have any of you tried the Theron Defense carbines?
They're
If
on.
yes, they're on.
They're on defense. Yeah.
Carbines. If yes, then how does it compare to something like the JR carbine? Are there any pistol caliber carbines you recommend, preferably 9mm? I'm considering purchasing a pistol caliber carbine for IDPA matches and would like one that takes the SIG P226 mags. I'm pretty sure that Theron Defense is the only one making carbines that use those mags, but I could be wrong. Thank you, Colin.
Not that you brought it up, Colin, but I do believe that the Keltec Sub 2000 will take SIG, Beretta, and Glock. I know the Just Right carbine takes Glock. I have shot both the Thuron and the Just Right, and I found the ergonomics of the Just Right closer to an AR-15 than the Thuron. I also found the aesthetics of the JR better.
I would agree with that. I think the JR is now. If you're looking to make use of your SIG mags and have less stuff to take to the range, that makes sense. But if you don't want to get into it because the mags are expensive, like you can get those Magpul Glock mags for cheap. So if that's all that's holding you back, I would say get the JR and run with
that? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, but he's thinking IDPA. I know when we used to run matches with pistol caliber carbines for the first couple that we did, I would have my Glock 17 and my Sub 2000, same case, same mag. Yeah. So you can, you got targets at distance. You can grab the pistol mag and throw it in the carbine as opposed to in the pistol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
same ammo, same caliber. The only thing I like about the Thuron Defense is it comes in 10mm, which makes for a decent deer gun from a tree stand inside 40 yards. You roll up your own 150 or 165 grain 10mm rounds and load them really snotty, super hot. Make for a nice little effective package. 10 rounds of 10mm in a pistol carbine. Yes, please.
Yep.
Okay.
But I don't know if the JR does. I know the JR comes in 9, and I know it comes in 45. So, but yeah, given the choice in 9mm, I'll take the JR over the Thuron.
Okay.
And Adriel concurs, and Kelly has not tried them. Nope. Okay. Stay away from the Sub 2000.
Okay.
It's okay. It's junk.
It's
cheap. It's cheap.
Overpriced junk.
It's not overpriced.
It is. Well,
overpriced. It is overpriced in Canada. If we had it for U.S. pricing, this would be a mood issue.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was cool at first when I had it. Like I had a aluminum camera case basically, which I don't think I would use today because there's that whole thing about your gun case needs to look like a gun case. But inside the aluminum camera case, or I guess you could call it a pistol case, you'd open it up and I had my folded Kel-Tec Sub 2000, all decked out with all the red line precision parts and a red dot on it. And I had my Glock 17. I had a bunch of 10-round mags, and I had 3 pinned to 10, of course, 33-round stick mags. Like, that was a nice little package. Just pick up this case, and there's a carbine and a pistol and a whole pile of mags. But you shoot the Sub 2000 for a little while, and it starts to fall apart in your hands, right? So people that say, oh, they're great, put a substantial amount of rounds through them and get back to me.
Okay. All right. From Justin, he's saying, I live in BC and I have a new job in Edmonton. The thing I am uncertain about...
That's a commute and a half right there. Wow.
The thing I'm uncertain about is I'm planning on taking my 3 non-restricted rifles with me. The thing is, I don't have a new address yet, and I won't until I'm in Edmonton. Will this be a problem? Also, do I need to contact the CFO office about this or just the Canadian Firearms Program?
I put this in the show because I saw it in our inbox and somebody replied to him and I didn't agree with the answer. No disrespect to my fellow co-hosts. Mm-hmm. But I have a friend who used to work at the Miramichi Firearms office, and this was always a problem for sending out renewals. People move across this country all the time, and they are not as active in the community as we are, and they don't think about their PAL. They got their PAL back in 95, and it's in their wallet, and they forget about it. They're not buying guns every other week like Adriel and I. So the problem occurs when you move and don't notify the Canadian Firearms Center that you've moved. You could miss an important correspondence, but you could also, more importantly, miss the notification of the renewal of your firearms license. Then your license ends up being expired. Big problem with restricteds, but still a problem with non-restricteds, and it'll probably get discovered when you go to buy ammunition and they look to see your card, and your card's been expired for like 8 months. Well, now, because there's a 90-day grace period after it expires, that reminds me I have an update on my online renewal. Now, the 90 days is potentially expired, and that's it. You're now in illegal possession of firearms. And if you get the right cop stops you on the side of the road, and you've got a hunting gun in the back seat, and your PAL's expired, and it's been expired for more than 90 days, you could be in a world of trouble. So yeah, always let the Canadian Firearms Center know that you're moving. You don't have to notify the CFO office because they handle the restricted end of things, and they certify ranges. They're not so worried about your shotgun. Mm-hmm. So, when you call the firearm center to transfer a restricted firearm, one of the options, it tells you if you want to check the status of your license renewal, you can now do so online. Typical government, right? I renewed my PAL online. I got a confirmation number, and they charged my credit card. But then that was it. There was no email or anything. It was just a confirmation number that came up on the screen. I thought I lost it. I didn't. But anyway, so I thought I would check because it had been a couple of weeks. And I log on to the website to check the status of my renewal. No records found. I'm like, oh, seriously? What did I do wrong? So anyway, I called and I looked it up. And I'm like, it says I could do this online. But it said that there was no record. And she's like, well, that's odd because you didn't just do this yesterday. I'm like, that's what I thought. Anyway, she confirmed that my license has been sent to the New Brunswick CFO for final approval.
Cool.
Yeah, so I take it that the photo that I had taken worked out because I took a selfie with my cell phone and attached it. It looked awful. I hadn't slept that day and didn't have any coffee. When they see the picture, I'm probably going to get rejected. They were like, this guy should be a radio host. Anyway, if you want to pick on me, you can send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com.
Or Kelly can screw up your emails as well. We have iTunes, by the way.
Yes, thank you to the Appleseed Princess.
Yeah, she sent us
There
one.
can be only one.
Hey.
I'm not saying it's a contest or nothing. I'm not saying I'm picking sides. I'm just putting that out there.
I get whose side you're picking there.
Is it obvious?
Yeah.
So I left a CCFR t-shirt in her car at the charity shoot that I bought for my cousin's new husband.
Yes.
And apparently the dog's been laying on it or something, so I got to get a replacement. So yeah, Stacy, if you're listening, you can give the shirt to your dog. It's all good.
All right. iTunes reviews. Adriel, do you want to read this one?
I'll do my best. From Woodsman J, 5 stars. Fall is among us. Review. Hey,
Shouldn't
guys.
that be upon us?
Yeah, I'm going to read it as written.
Okay.
Hey guys, as always, great podcasting. Always look forward to the weekly shenanigans that happen on air. Frosty, I remember when you just came on board with the SFR crew, and now it's like you have been on since day one. You always contribute lots of good info. How are your rapid prototypes coming along? I'm struggling to find good objects on Thingiverse that are gun-related. Well, I think I'm going to make I'm just going to cut from the review for just a second here. I'm going to put together an article that has like a link, all the links I can find to all the stuff that I think is like worthwhile. What else do we got here? I have drawn a few things to print myself, but the MakerBot is so inaccurate and has sloppy tolerances. Your episode 171 on duck hunting was great. Your guest inquired about getting a pro on to talk about dogs. I would recommend Ron Boehm from the Hunting Dog podcast. He's
Nice.
a real hoot to listen to, loves drinking beer and smoking cigars during his podcasts. That is all. Cheers for now. Jordan from Napanee.
By the way, Adriel, it was episode 171.
I said 171.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
I didn't say 170 and 1 or 171. Come on.
So yeah, man, I think having Ron on would be a fantastic idea.
Cool. Talk about hunting dogs and shooting beer and drinking cigars and
shooting beer and eating cigars. Yeah.
There we go. Sorry.
We're due for a hunting show soon.
Yeah.
And
So
Jordan?
I'll do an article with like a bunch of links to all the different gun stuff I had. Kelly, you got a grip plug that I sent over. Did it work?
Did. Yes. It was awesome.
And
Thank you.
Does it like fit and like do anything? Like it should offer a little bit more grip at the bottom of the gun, right?
Yeah, it does.
Sweet. So there's one of the things, Glock 17 grip plug. You can print one of those up. That's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You did mine in pink.
I got pink, blue, and black, and I like printing things in pink because it's funny.
Just remember, Kelly, you can't use it in an IPSC match.
Yeah, I know. It's
All right.
Oh, well. Anyways, Jordan, hoping you're coming out to the shoot on Saturday. It's ladies only, but you can also come out and say hey to me and Tracy and Kelly. Just saying. Okay. So right now we have 140. Wow. 5-star ratings, and that's 108 from Canada, 28 from the US, 1 from the US, 1 from the UK, 1 from Lithuania, and 1 for Belgium. So anybody else out there in the whole entire world, send us a rating or 2 or 7, and make sure it's funny. We'll get it on. Well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't even have to
We
be
read
funny.
them all. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll read them all. Yeah. Okay.
Who are we kidding? We are not proud. Like at all.
No, we're not really at all.
No.
Yeah.
When people are giving us hobbit thumbs and duck bills and platypus claws. I mean, it's
We just keep it all. We
yeah.
just hoard it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So shout outs.
to the Miramichi crew who put on the provincial championships this year. These guys rebuilt their range from the ground up. When I started shooting at the Miramichi Sportsman Club for IPSC matches, there was one berm, and they've expanded that range more and more all the time. 2 years ago, I was asked, do you think we could get the Miramichi Club to host the provincials? And I love those guys, but I said, nope, no way, no how. You couldn't get all those people on that range. So they, Chris Kingston has always said, build it and they will come. And Miramichi built it, and they came. It was one of the biggest provincials that I've been to in New Brunswick since I started in IPSC back in 2011 on a range that I didn't think would ever be able to host a level 3 match. And they built it. They put up berms. They built new props, and they did a fantastic job. So to all the guys in Miramichi, very proud of you guys. You outdid yourselves, and who knows? Maybe we'll be back there next year for the same match. So good job, everybody.
And I had a shout out for the listener that sent me the different piston for the Pardis. So this listener had sent me a Weatherby piston that was a different style piston. The one that it comes with works with light loads. With heavy, like 3-inch duck loads, for example, it really beats up the inside of the receiver. And I finally got to try it last weekend, and it worked great. I thought like it was too loose in there or too heavy, but no, it cycled the gun just fine, and it didn't beat it up quite as bad. Now I don't know if you guys can hear me typing in the background there, but I was just madly looking for the name of that listener. I can't seem to find it, but thank you anyways for sending that piston out, because it worked a treat.
Awesome. And I have a shout out to everybody in Ohio. Great time, especially to Red Ranch, staying at the ranch. It was awesome. Stacy, Mario, and Steve, everybody working so hard to put the Appleseed on. And also Brian and Jason, great to see you guys again. And Brian, thank you for letting the rain hold off while we shot on Saturday. And then it basically ripping apart the range on Saturday night. That's it for shout outs for me. Patreon supporters. And we have Mark P, Justin D, and Justin, somebody else who donated $303 for the month. And we also have $303.
Love the caliber contributions.
Yeah.
You know, 50 BMG's a caliber. I'm just saying.
Hey, $50 a month. Hey, I shot one of those in Ohio. Did you know that?
I heard that. Saw a picture of you all laying prone, shooting the big gun. Good job.
Yeah. So Jonathan S., Tyler A., Richard D., Rob B., Thomas S., Chad G., Kevin L., Ryan B., Adrian R., Rob B., and Mike R. You guys are amazing, and you're helping us get out to everybody. So thank you very much for being all Patreon supporters. We're going to actually have a meeting and see what we can do about that too, right? Right, guys?
Yes. Yeah, we need to get on this. We promised the Patreon supporters exclusive content, and probably I predict that the flood of Patreon supporters is going to start to go down to a trickle until we start offering premium content to our Patreon supporters, and then people will want to access that content, and we will get more people on board. So, yeah, it's in the works, guys.
Cool. Okay. So just wanted to let everybody know that go on out and join one of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR or the CSSA. It's important to support them, especially with everything that's going on, and also the hints of stuff that's going to be happening in the next little while as well. Also, check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. We have a thread there that you can actually comment on, go and listen to some of the episodes, or also just, communicate with us.
Yeah, and a shout out, actually, you mentioned Gun Owners of Canada. Shout out to the crew over there at Gun Owners of Canada. Yeah, they came out with their coin, and Slamfire Radio received, and by Slamfire Radio I mean me. It was sent to me. I just want to
it's all about you.
Yeah, number 19. So, thank you very much.
It's very nice looking.
I mean, it's being housed here, but it's our coin.
Yeah, really.
We'll share it.
No, we won't.
No, you're right. We won't.
Yeah. Anyways. Like us on Facebook. We have 1,528. How was that, Trevor?
Perfect.
Excellent. Likes on Facebook. We also have 110
Nope.
thumbs up.
There's no letter A in the number 100.
110 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Look, Kelly,
All
you
right.
be you. Don't listen to Trevor. You be
I
you.
know. 20 gold stars and counting. Excellent. 2 flukes, 4 manatee flippers, 2 kangaroo thumbs, 1 safe space. This is getting long, you guys.
It's getting
1
ridiculous.
one HK logo, 2 the Hobbit thumbs, 5 duck bills, and 2 squirrel nuts.
I think perhaps the joke has run its course.
Yeah.
No, it's like a junk drawer.
Those
Really
nuts are at the
weird
back.
junk drawer.
Okay. And on that note, everybody, have a great week.
Good night.
Brass Prep sucks. Wait, that's the other show.
Yeah, it is.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.